I'm located in Silicon Valley, and transformational leadership is created to really think about how we can come together and explore leadership in a different way, how we can actually empower others to make the change in the world. So I'd like to start by reciting in this given time, in this season, this climate that we are experiencing globally. I quoted Martin Luther King earlier, and he really is resonating on my heart. I grew up during an era where Dr. Martin Luther King was mentioned. He was an icon. I remember when he was assassinated. And the impact that it left and his legacy that remains not only in the United States, but all over the world. One of my mentees from Morocco, she said, well, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King really impacted my life. And so I know the impact, the reigning that he had all over the world. So I'd like to quote, if I may. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men, women, are created equal. Dr. Martin Luther King's powerful, iconic, I Have a Dream speech was spoken when I was just a very young girl in the 60s, but it created a transformational nation. And we're seeing a lot of that reverberation now with the Floyd situation of his killing that was actually captured on technology. The nation and the world is actually seeing a new opportunity to really stand forward and to take the vision that has been indoctrinated by Dr. Martin Luther King and many, many others, and to take that into understanding that there has to be equal rights. We're talking about transformational leadership. Regardless of the color of our skin, and we talked about that today, or our orientation, he said that the dream became a touchstone in the civil rights movement in the United States. But in 2020, a decade of vision, a year of vision, and we're still talking about these same opportunities. There's an engagement. There is a true call. There is a true calling for transformation, for a mind shift, for things to change, and for us to actually calibrate and come together in as one so we can actually utilize and teach transformational leaders because they are made, they're not born. So think about transformational leadership in the context of, as an individual, we've done a lot of self-work today, that we continue to do our self-work, that we think about our communities and work within our communities as a transformational leader and continue to grow ourselves. Also, to think about our organizations and what transformational leadership is for our organizations. Another inspirational leader, Mother Teresa from Calcutta, was a Roman Catholic, and she actually saw that it was, and she was a nun who actually worked for the impoverished. And that was her commitment and her life dedication. So what do these leaders, these transformational leaders, have in common? Both of them are powerful. They have a purpose. They have a vision for change. Transformation is the actual service to others. They are transforming communities. They are transforming societies. They are transforming organizations to rethink how they can do better, how they can be a part of a utopian society that I shared earlier. Why not think big? Why not think about how we can imagine innovation and our commitment to other people? So leadership, transformation leadership was actually coined by James Burns in the late 1970s around the book Leadership. And there he defines transformational leadership as a process where leaders and their followers actually rise with one another to a higher level of morality and motivation. So I would add intention. So we want to think about intention and intention with a purpose, and to have that intention and that intention with a purpose pulled into our everyday lives. So as we think about how we dream, how we actually execute, all of those things have intention. And one of my friends, Sharifa, who's online now, actually mentioned to me, she said, Jeannice, you're empowered and you empowered others. So let's think about, as women, how we are empowered and how we can continue to empower others. We want to stay curious. I love the idea of always wanting to learn. And it doesn't necessarily mean getting another degree, but it means being open, being receptive, having that willing spirit to actually learn from others and to learn something you don't know. For over a year, I actually, it ended in so it was from the year 2018 to 2019, where I was focusing every day about how I could actually learn something new and jotting it down, how I could actually grow as a human being and as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, and as a CEO of my own company, and actually put that into practice. So staying curious is transformational. And then lastly, thinking about igniting the atmosphere. We've talked about being called to the table. I say, why not create the table? As Maya Angelou said, bring your chair up to it was actually Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman that ran for president. She was quoted as saying, if there isn't a chair at the table, bring your own folding chair. So those kind of transformational thoughts, transformational leaders that are imputing that kind of powerful, very centered, very focused tasks and goals is where we want to head to as transformational leaders. Transformation is a purpose. We can make choices. There's the right way, and then there's the right step for all of us. So inspiring leaders, we've seen a lot of icons, a lot of the millennials or the Gen Xers go onto social media and they begin to see these inspirational leaders to them, but they're actually transforming a culture. So we need to continue to transform the culture in such a way that it is in a positive direction, giving insights to the things that people don't know, having those uncomfortable conversations, actually bringing them up if individuals don't bring them up to you, and allowing yourself to feel the way that you feel. All of my company meetings, when I meet with my teams, I actually take pause and I ask them, how do you feel today? And I really want to get a response from them. It's not, oh, it's a great day. I really want to hear from them about how they feel. And this was prior to COVID-19. So if you have a sense of how that person feels as a transformative leader, you can actually tap into the way that they communicate. You can find out how they think and actually be able to have more empathy or have empathy for the way that they actually conduct their business. And in your home life, definitely it's an opportunity to really sit down and have those conversations. It's funny, during COVID, this shelter in place, everyone was talking about, oh my goodness, my kids are home. And I was thinking, oh, I loved when my kids were home. I actually homeschooled my kids for many years. So it's a great opportunity for parents, for grandparents, for aunts and uncles and extended family, if you can, via Zoom, to connect with those young people and to really find out what's on their minds. We recently started a podcast, Ocular, where we're talking to millennials and individuals that have various views about relevant topics in tech and business. And it's an opportunity. I'm gaining incredible insight as to how they're really beginning to think about either the new normal or looking at getting a job. What does that look like? Graduation. My daughter herself, she opted out of graduating for 2020 because she said, I want to walk across the stage. So she decided to stay in another semester. So what are they thinking? So that connection, that communication lends us as transformative leaders. We're building, yes? We're building out transformational leadership. So it gives us an opportunity to connect and to continue to engage with one another, to build out innovation like it has never been done before, and to build those beautiful workplaces and beautiful communities, these smart, maybe we'll actually have smart communities at the end of all of this. So it is a great opportunity to do that. So I just would like to think about the mind shift and just tell you quickly about how I actually became or self-identified, and then finding out from others that I was actually a transformational leader. So when we moved here from Michigan, actually, when I was a very young girl, we had the opportunity, my dad he was a robotics engineer, actually electrical engineer, and worked on robotics, and actually developed one of the first mobile robots. So I was in a family of innovators, and my dad would talk to us about, well, how could we do this differently? How could we think about bringing in new insights and taking risks and actually making a plan? That was my first role model of transformational leadership. My granddad was also in politics. And I saw my stay-at-home grandmother be innovative and actually take care of the kids next door and make cakes that were very expensive back in the day. And so that was also transformational because I saw her take hold and take control of a situation. Instead of just staying at home, she actually made an enterprise for herself. Transformational leadership. So if we think about transformational leadership, we're thinking about, again, purpose. We're thinking about how we can continue to be curious. We're thinking about how we want to flex our intellectual muscle and how we want to continue to grow, and that intention that we could draw from. We also shared today about legacy. This is calling upon the legacy of standing in your power and knowing that you can reach back into your experiences and those people that are in your sphere of influence that have actually impacted your life. Transformational leadership. So getting to that intent is actually drawing a map of where to go. And when you think about, I think about my trip and my journey coming across the United States and how it was mapped out. My father was very intentional. We had particular spots where we were actually going to stop and sleep. We had places, we went over the Rocky Mountains when I remember peering outside of the car window and seeing the cliff and thinking, oh my goodness, are we going to be safe? And my dad said, yes, we're fine. We have a plan. So coming across the Golden Gate Bridge and then thinking, wow, I've left everything I know. I'm no longer with my grandparents. My best friend is no longer here, but I have this great opportunity because my dad said, I have a plan. And it's something new, it's something different. So that's the driving force, that's the goal and the vision of intention and purpose of a transformational leader. And thinking about that authentic intent, and how the authenticity of him knowing that there was potential if we moved to California as an engineer and being part of the foundation to Silicon Valley. So I tell my daughter, who actually I started the robotics team at NASA with her and for girls. And I told her, I said, you have legacy rights. This is an opportunity for you to stand in your purpose and to be all that you could possibly be.